Good morning, Rabutai. Welcome to Breakfast on the Class. Breakfast on the Class today is dedicated by the Daniel S. Loeb Diamond donor, Aaron Levayev, in loving memory and Leilu Nishmat, Yonatan, Yona ben Sarah Istat, Alea Shalom. And as well for Refuah Shema, for Alea Shlomo Farhi, Haim Feather Frida, and continued health for Chana Bat Samafega. Also, the week of Breakfast on the Class has been dedicated in loving memory of Soraya Rahmani, Alea Shalom, Leilu Nishmat, Sarah Bat Batya, from Murray and Norma Dayan, and family Tehei Nishmata Eden. We also like to welcome long-time listeners, first-time attenders, Theo Laskar and Rav Avtzin, Hazaku Baruch, Bruchim Abayim, Shalita, Bezat Hashem, Alei Ma'ala Ma'alot Torah Vayirah, Bezat Hashem. Please only answer Amen if you're listening to this live. Baruch Ata Adonai, Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, She'akol Niyah Baruch. Okay, last but not least, we have coming up our Siyum Masechet. Bezat Hashem, this coming week, we're going to be finishing the Masechet of Moed Katan. This is our fourth Masechet we are finishing. Baruch Hashem. We're on our way, Bezat Hashem, to becoming, I don't know if we're going to be Talmidei Hachamim soon, but at least we'll be non-Amei Haratzim. Very special to be Yotzei Miklal, to leave that klal of being Amaretz. So please, if you'd like to join us on our fifth Masechet, our fifth Masechet is going to begin, Be'ezat Hashem, after this coming Sunday. We meet Sunday mornings at 10 a.m., 10:15, excuse me, and then Tuesday and Thursday in the evening, either before or after Mincha, depending on the time. You're more than welcome to join us as we start our new Masechet. TBD, this to be decided what the Masechet is going to be, but there's going to be another, Be'ezat Hashem, a short Masechet, so we'll be able to get yet another Masechet under our belts. We have thus far done Ta'anit, Megillah, Makot, and Moed Katan. So we're burning through all the short ones, Baruch Hashem. So please join us for this new journey. You do not have to know how to learn Gemara in order to do this. You do not even have to like Gemara for doing this. If you are scarred from high school, from when your teacher in high school taught you Gemara and you hated it, we have many of those people. We also have people that are young joining us. We have people that are old joining us with no background, with a little bit of background. We're going through as clearly as we can, straightforward pshat in the Gemarot. You're more than welcome to join us. I know you probably think it's above your level, but everything is above your level until you try it, number one. Number two, imagine you're in a swimming pool and you're at the bottom of the pool and you need to come up for oxygen, but you start thinking that the oxygen is currently above your level. Doesn't matter. You still have to go up because you're going to drown if you don't go up and above your level. Life is like that. Judaism is a situation where a person cannot stay in a static position. You cannot stay at the bottom. You will lose your oxygen. You'll need to constantly keep moving in order to keep your balance, in order to keep your growth. If you're not growing, you're shrinking. There is no static state in Judaism. Okay, let's begin. Our rabbis teach us a very interesting idea on this week's parasha, and I want to explore it a little bit with you together today. Parasha begins by saying, Vayishlach Yaakov malachim, and Yaakov sent angels to Esav, his brother. What's the backdrop? Previously, on Yaakov, right? Yaakov gets the berachot because he bought them. Yaakov gets the berachot because he deserves them. And when he gets the berachot, Esav hates him so badly that he wants to kill him. His parents say, Rivka says, run away, from Esav, your brother. Yitzchak says, unbeknownst to him what's going on in the background, he says, I'd like you to travel, go get married, go meet someone. Yaakov comes back a mere 34 years later. Not with one wife, but with four. Not with one child, but with he's on the road with 11, right? He's on his way to have all the shiftei ka completed, and he's coming back now. Esav hears 34 years later. I'm sure everybody knows a guy in their life or a lady in their life who's like this. 34 years later, but you can be absolutely sure that they're still upset at you. Anyone have someone like that in their life? 34 years have passed, but you know nothing's changed. You know that the minute you see them, the first reaction is going to be, remember that time that. These people, oh my gosh. Some people put money in a 401k, other people put machloket in a 401k. They hold on to it until retirement. They're waiting, they've got it, and they're going to take it out tax-free, dust it off. They will have lost none of the initial investment of their complaining and their upset and their anger and their victimhood. Well, Yaakov knows Esav is one such character. So if Esav wanted to kill him, he still wants to kill him. If he was angry, he's still angry. First question I have for everyone today is, forget anybody else. When it comes to the machlokets in your life, when it comes to the people who you perceive have done you wrong, are you being an Esav and holding on to hurt and anger and bitterness? Is that who you are? Do you want to be a person that 34 years later, everyone in the world knows Shlomo's that kind of guy? He's the guy who holds on to things. He's the guy who brings up in an unrelated argument later on, remember the time that, still gives the jabs, the one-liners at the Shabbat table. You know? Is that you? If that's you, I have a news for you. Your middle name is Esav. The Torah says something very specific about nurturing grudges. Not only lo tikom, not only are you not allowed to take revenge, but also lo titor. Titor means when you hold on to the grudge in your heart, even if you didn't take revenge. In fact, the case of nitira is where the person, they give it, I'm going to give you the loan, unlike you, when you didn't give me the loan. Some people are not like you. Just so you know, you're the worst, and I'm the best, so here you go. The guy did a chesed. Torah says you're not allowed to hold it in your heart. Separately, another isur in the Torah. Lo tisna et achicha bilvadecha. You're not allowed to hate your brother in your heart. But Esav was mikayim. This unbelievable. He had a kri ketiv on this pasuk. In the Torah it says lo with an aleph. But Esav read it with a vav. Lo tisna achicha bilvadecha. To this guy, you should hate your brother in your heart. You have some people, that's how they read the pasuk. Lo, everyone else fine. But this guy, I don't hate any other Jews, but this guy, lo tisnat achicha bilvadecha. So Yaakov, he knows he's coming. Esav's coming towards him. Vayishlach Yaakov, and Yaakov sends angels to Esav, his brother. Now Rashi famously brings the idea that the word malachim does not have to mean angels. It could mean that Yaakov sent, excellent Levi, messengers. He sent messengers. Now the messengers could have been human, or they could have been angelic. It's interesting that Yaakov thought, something, what I really need here? Angels. Like you imagine as an example, Ki malachav yitzav elach, l'shmorcha b'chol derachecha, right? You know what I need to protect me from anything and everything in this world? I need angels. Because how is the angels, how's a regular human being going to stop bullets? How's a regular human being going to stop a machine gun or a mustard gas attack? I need an angel for that. So far we don't have other defense systems other than an angel. But what is Yaakov asking these angels to do? What is he asking them to do? Go to Esav, just tell him, hey, right? Tell him, Im Lavan garti, I lived with Lavan, Vechar alata, I hidishtor chamor, I have this, I have that, I'm coming back to you. I want things to go back to normal. He's sending him a present. Can I ask you a question? I only just met Theo, even though he's been listening many. Theo, if I told you, could you go give this message to Esav, and here's some cattle, you think you could take care of that? I think you're very capable. I think you could do that. Look, see, we don't need an angel. How could there be a hava amina that what Yaakov was sending was angels? Malachim mamash. So I want to share a very interesting idea. It's not that Yaakov needed someone to deliver this message. Anyone could have done that. Yaakov Avinu could have gone on his phone and reserved Uber package, and then Muhammad, okay, the Uber driver, could have then delivered the message to Esav, no problem. Right? I don't know if any of you have noticed this. I get an extremely large number of people who deliver packages to me or who bring my food on Uber Eats whose name is Mamadou. No? Is it just me? I feel like he's my personal Uber Eats driver. Sometimes I want to just tell him, how's it going? How's the wife and kids? You know, how's mama don't? I don't know how things are going in your house, right? It's the same guy. I don't know if it's the same. I can't tell if it's the same guy because he leaves the packages and then leaves, right? But it's always Mamadou. I don't know who Mamadou is. You got Mamadou? I get Muhammad and Mamadou. Only once in my life, I felt very privileged. I was driven by Hashem. That was incredible. You were driven by Hashem. And then once I was driven by a guy, I was driven by Yeshu. His name was Jesus, right? And he came, he picked me up, and I was like, well, you know, I've been driven by the real Hashem, so I'm not fooled by any of this. Anyway, so what's it called? So you could have, Yaakov could have done anything, could have sent anything. It was not necessary to send an angel. In fact, it almost seems like it's an incorrect usage of angels. So why does Rashi say, Malachim mamash? He sent angels, real angels, not just messengers, to do this job. If you tell me later on that Yaakov used messengers, fine. Like at the later point in the story, he's dividing his camps. You know, they're going to do war with Esav. I couldn't think, Yaakov, if you hadn't sent the Malachim earlier, I think you could have used them right about now. Specifically put on order. You remember the Malach that visits Bilam with the giant sword? That's the perfect one. Get that guy. Charaviel or something like that. I don't know what his name is, right? But get the angel that's going to fight for you. There, we don't find Yaakov using angels. Right? So what's going on over here? That for a job that doesn't need an angel, right? He's sending angels, or at least according to one opinion, and for the time when angels would have seemed perfect, when he's about to attack you. There, you don't find any usage of angels. So I want to share something that I think is very interesting. Al-Chachamim tell us that the message that the angel gives is not, hey, what's going on? Here's Yaakov's shore portfolio. Right? Shorefolio. And he says to him, take a look, this is what he's got. No. Im Lavan Garti, says Rashi, quoting the Midrash, when I lived with Lavan, Taryag mitzvot shamarti, I kept 613 mitzvot. Esav doesn't really care about Yaakov's mitzvot keeping, does he? Shouldn't interest him that Yaakov. So I saw two different explanations. One explanation is that Yaakov was saying, listen, if you're thinking of some sort of peace treaty, I just want you to understand, nowhere in the peace treaty am I willing to do anything that compromises on my mitzvot keeping. Because when I lived with Lavan, don't think that I lowered my standard of Judaism. There's nothing that I gave up. So if you want me to give up something, you want me to marry your kids, you want me to do something like this, I'm not in, no avodah zarah for me, no, none of these things. Im Lavan Garti Taryag mitzvot shamati. The word Garti, which I lived, is the same letters as Taryag. Okay? So maybe, well, why does Esav care? Well, let's go back. Remember in the Beracha that Esav is so angry at Yaakov about. Yaakov was given so many different Berachot. And then, when Esav comes and Yitzchak says, I already blessed him, what does Esav say? Ha-bracha achat lecha avi. You only have one Beracha, Baracheni, Gamani, bless me too. And what does Yitzchak say? Why can't he give Esav a bracha? Come on. Someone comes to me and they ask me for a bracha to get married. I give them bracha. I can't give anyone else. There's one, you get one. Limit one per customer. I gave one person a bracha to have kids. I can't give anyone else a bracha to have kids. What's your answer? He already gave it to Yaakov. Well, what is it? Isn't there more of it? He gave him the bracha, but can he give more bracha? No, you're right, but I want to know why.
He still got the best bracha to get when he sends him away, because he's giving him the blessing.
So there's some bracha left, but not all, yeah?
Was not able to receive it?
Well, yes, but why? What about the bracha rendered Esav unable to get more berachot here? Why? What was the problem? There was something about him that did not allow him to receive it, but what was it? Huh? So he seems pretty sincere. The guy is literally screaming in the streets about losing it. The pasuk says that Yitzchak says, "Hen gvir samtiv lach." I placed him as your master. The halakha in the Gemara says, "Ma shekana eved kana rabo." Whatever a worker or a servant acquires belongs to his master. So if Yitzchak gave a beracha to Esav, who would get that beracha? Still Yaakov. So Esav's question is there only one blessing? There's many blessings. But if you're hen gvir samtiv lach, if you're subservient to him, then any blessing I give you is going to also go to Yaakov. It's also going to go to him. But what does Yitzchak say to Esav? But when Yaakov doesn't do what Yaakov is supposed to do, ufarakta ulo me'alecha, I only gave him the berachot to him. But when Yaakov or his descendants are not being Yaakov, then they lost the beracha. And then you could take the yoke of subservience and throw it off. So Esav was betting on the fact that Yaakov, not being in the environment of his father, of his mother, of the tzaddikim, being in the environment of a rasha like Lavan, what would he be like? Oy le rasha, oy l'shcheno. Woe to a rasha, woe to his neighbor. I remember thinking to myself, maybe, it says that Yaakov Avinu was in the field non-stop with all the animals. He was the most unbelievable worker. Day, night. And it bothered me. Just because you're a great worker, you could still go home. Remember when Yaakov first meets the shepherds, what does he tell him? He says the sun didn't set yet. You still have to work. Oda yom gadol. But when the sun sets, what could they do? Go home. So why is Gnevati Yom, Gnevati Laila? Why did he give up his days and his nights? You know what the answer is? Not only because of his honesty, but also because of his purity. Yaakov made sure to never spend any time in Lavan's house. To maintain his pristine level, to not worry about oy l'rasha, woe to rasha, woe to his neighbor. Now listen to this because I think it's incredible. So Yaakov is telling Esav, you think this is your time to rise up and throw me off because I'm no longer keeping the mitzvot. I'm no longer the person I was supposed to be. Im Lavan garti, tariag mitzvot shamarti. I kept all 613 mitzvot. Now we understand. Who's going to be able to say that Yaakov kept the mitzvot, didn't keep the mitzvot? Not Theo and not Mamadou. Only a spiritual being could say, look, in Shamayim, Yaakov Avinu kept the mitzvot. Good? So that's why he needed to send the malachim. Okay? Good answer? Hold on. Much better. This past week, we spent some time in Poland, and one of the places we visited was the kever of the Noam Elimelech, Rabbi Elimelech of Lezhensk. What a powerful place. So we went and we prayed there. I want to share with you a chidush from the Noam Elimelech. Noam Elimelech says, Rashi says, who are these messengers? Malachim, Mamash. Says Rabbi Elimelech of Lezhensk. You know what Mamash stands for? Malachim mitzvot she'asa. You know the Gemara, the Mishnah in Avot says that when a person does a mitzvah, he creates a malach praklit echad. He creates for himself a defense attorney in Shamayim, a angel that's able to kind of say in the heavenly court that he's done a mitzvah. The mitzvah itself creates an angel. So now we have a magnificent pshat. It's not just that he sent an angel To say, look, I'm a spiritual guy, I could tell you. I saw Yaakov, the guy's rolling. Taryag mitzvot, the guy kept. The angel was the Taryag mitzvot. So he sent Esav the actual mitzvot that he kept at Lavan. So I thought to myself, if that's the case, Vayishlach Yaakov malachim, how many angels? 613. Another way of seeing it is he sent them 2 angels. One of the aseh, the positive commandments, and one of the negative commandments. I think perhaps there's a much more powerful way of seeing this. What did he send? Who are these malachim that he sent to say im lavan garti v'taryag mitzvot shamarti ve'echar adata, and I stayed until now? There's 2 mitzvot that are mentioned here specifically in the pasuk. One mitzvah is the mitzvah of Yishuv Eretz Israel. Esav had 2 mitzvot on Yaakov. Only 2. Which mitzvot did he have? One is Kibud Horim, honoring his parents. Esav was there, honoring his parents, while Yaakov was there. Oh, what was the other one? Yishuv Eretz Israel. Says the Yaakov in the message from his angels, Im lavan garti, tayag mitzvot shamarti, ve'echar adata. He explained to him, when I left and went to Chutz La'aretz, I went as a result of my parents sending me where? To Lavan to get married. Number 1, kibud avaim. Number 2, Rambam writes that a person who lives in Israel is not allowed to leave Israel unless he's leaving in order to get married. Why did he go to Lavan's house to get married? So he said to him, there's 2 reasons, 2 mitzvot that you have over me. Those are the 2 angels he sold him. He sent him the angel of Yishuv Eretz Israel, which was not harmed in any way, and the second angel is the angel of Kibud Avaim. In fact, our rabbis tell us that the angel that you create when you do a mitzvah is actually visibly complete or incomplete by the way that you did the mitzvah. So as an example, if a person did the mitzvah halfway, the angel's got 1 arm, half a leg, half a mustache. Okay? But when the angel, which represents the mitzvah is a mitzvah that's done bishlemut, then the angel looks whole. So why is he sending malachim? Because he wants Esav to see with his own eyes that these angels are complete. So I have a question for you. How could the angel of Kibud Avaim be complete? How could it be?
Yaakov listened to his parents by going.
Yaakov listened to his parents by going, but not staying all this time. Yishuv Eretz Israel, fine. He needed to marry, he needed to have kids, he needed to wait until they were ready. What's the answer? The answer is, what did Rivka tell him when she sent him? Stay there until the anger of your brother subsides. Yaakov says to Esav, Ve'echar adata. I've been waiting all this time for this moment, and look, you're coming towards me with 400 men. So I have still not used up my kibud avayim. Not that I have an answer why I didn't do kibud avayim, but this was what my mother sent me for until that time. That time has not yet arrived. Even adata until now. So the angel would look complete in the eyes of Esav. Why am I sharing this with all of us who don't have malachim handy to go send to do jobs? Now I'd love that, by the way. That would be incredible. Imagine I could get a malach to take care of the AV situation over here, to upload all the classes. I'm desperately in need of an EA, but I never thought of EA standing for executive angel. You know, I've always thought it was executive assistant, but what a fantastic job that would be. Right? If I could, get someone that would be able to do that properly. Anyway, listen to this, because it's unbelievable. I think the answer here is something that relates to every single person really in the world. Yaakov understands that some jobs are not about brute force. Some jobs are not for a human to be able to communicate, because the job lies in convincing the person that what they're about to do or trying to do is pointless. And give me a minute here to try and lay this down, because I believe this is an important understanding in the way we look at conflict resolution and negotiation. Our rabbis tell us that whenever Rabbi Yehuda would travel to Rome, whenever the Chachamim would have issues with the government that they would need to navigate, what would they do? They would literally sit down and read this parasha. Because you see how Yaakov Avinu dealt with Esav. Specifically in Rome. Rome was a direct descendant of Esav. So if you ask most people will tell you that the preparations of Yaakov for war or for an antagonistic government were three things. And maybe we'll spend some time tomorrow talking about these three things and what they are. He prepared himself for tefillah, for prayer, for doron, for gifts, and he prepared himself for milchama, for war. Okay? There were three things that he prepared himself with. I'd like to suggest that the three things are really only taking place after one that Yaakov tries first. And what Yaakov tries first is Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim. He knows that if he sends someone and says, that person says, Yaakov kept all the mitzvot, Esav's not going to be convinced. He knows even if he sends a student that's proficient in Torah and mitzvot, Esav's not going to be convinced. So what does Yaakov do? Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim. He sends angels mamash. And as we learned today, what were the angels? They were the angels made by his mitzvot. So he provided Esav with incontrovertible proof that there was no place for an attack. My friends, too often do we see in marriages that fail, in the ensuing court cases and horrible situation of custody battles, of post-nups and prenups, of hatred of two people that once loved one another. It's sad enough as is. It says that the Shekhinah cries when two people who loved one another actually have to get divorced. However, I think sometimes the reason why we got to where we got to is because nobody took the time to be able to offer, to give, to explain in the manner that Yaakov explains to Esav. There cannot be a fight here. And let me explain what I mean. Oftentimes, when people are trying to avert a machloket, what do? They trade barbs. They tell you who their lawyer is. They make fun of the person. They call them an ingrate or a person who has no hakarat atov. They start to put things into play. I'm going to speak to the rabbi at the shul, never going to allow you in. I'm going to go call the school, tell the kids that if they don't have joint custody, things like this. Threats, angry responses. But actually, most often, the reason why there's a fight is because there's unfinished business on the table. One of the people in the machloket still thinks that there's a chance that they could save the relationship. They think that maybe there's still something they could do, so they're dragging out the process, thinking that maybe. Has anyone bothered to be able to have that conversation which takes that possibility off the table? And let me explain. A lot of times people say it. A lot of times people have a family member say it. But the husband or wife is not willing to let go because they still believe something is possible. Sometimes a person thinks that they have this option or the other option. But no one has sat down and explained to them or it's not been made clear in the way that Yaakov makes it clear to Esav. Your opening is me not keeping the mitzvot. There was 0 mitzvot that were not kept. You have no opening whatsoever. You could attack me if you want, and maybe in the fog of war, someone will die, but this is not your opening that you think it is. So often, the possibility of machloket comes from someone misunderstanding the opportunities that the machloket might provide. I'll give you an example. The Gemara in Berachot says there was a machloket between Rabban Gamliel and Rabbi Yoshua. What was the machloket over? The machloket was over what day Rosh Chodesh was, ergo what day Yom Kippur would be. Rabban Gamliel, as the Nasi of Am Yisrael, he has the ace in the hole, so he rules what day Yom Kippur is. But he is nervous that the people might be split between his ruling and the ruling of Rabbi Yoshua the elder. So he says to Rabbi Yoshua, come to me on the day that you think Yom Kippur is, with your cloak, with your stick, break your Yom Kippur, and come to me to be... Now, why is Rabban Gamliel doing this? Because he's worried that Am Yisrael will be keeping 2 different Yom Kippurs that people will eat on Yom Kippur. This was why he did this. The Chachamim felt that Rabban Gamliel, in doing this, was disrespectful to a great sage like Rabbi Yoshua. So they took away the leadership from Rabban Gamliel. So who should be the leader? Now that Rabban Gamliel is not the leader. You'd imagine Rabbi Yoshua, the person who's belittled in this fight. The elder that was standing up for his kavod. Says the Gemara, no. Rabbi Yoshua can't be him. You know why? Because that would be a disrespect, a dishonor to Rabban Gamliel. So Rabbi Yoshua is also not going to be the leader. Who are we going to find? We find somebody else. Who was it in the end? Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, very young. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Now, listen carefully. Imagine if in every machloket, between 2 rabbis, or between 2 people, it was made clear, listen, he might lose the fight, but if you win, you're also not becoming the rabbi. Imagine how much that changes. Now, in a case where it's L'Shem Shamayim, it wouldn't change anything. But in cases where someone thinks that fighting is going to get me something, imagine we took something off the table. How many machlokets could be averted if people understood, clear as day, that there is no value in this fight? Never mind the presents, never mind the praying, never mind the war. First understand. You know, I had the lawyers draw up a contract. If this money is not mine, it goes to charity, not to you. How many people would walk away from that fight? I think there's a certain melacha, a work that can be done in machloket, in situations where we neutralize the fight by eliminating the possibility of a win. And I think that's the lesson that Yaakov Avinu was teaching us here. Before I even engage, let me make it clear, Esav. This is not ufarakta ulo me'alecha. And you know how I'm going to do that? By sending you such clear proof that it was the angels created by those mitzvot themselves. How many times are you not going to listen to me? So let me, instead of having me talk to you, let me have that person talk to you. Let me show you absolutely clear, without ego, without fighting, without tempers. Take the win possibility off the table. And then the machloket in and of itself should be averted. Now in the end, it doesn't help Yaakov all that much. Because Esav by the way, the forerunner of Amalek, is happy to not win, so long as Yaakov loses. Fascinating. Fascinating. So it might not have helped in the end of the day, but you see that Yaakov is at least trying. So I think to myself, whenever a person is entering into the realm of machloket, what a powerful thing to be thinking of in terms of clarity in message, where you went to the nth degree to have something which is so clear without any arguing whatsoever, where you literally remove the point of the machloket itself from the table. If a person would do that, perhaps we might avoid far more machloket. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen. Amen. Rabbi Hanaya ben Akashya Omer,